Hey guys, it's Mr. Regan. Today we're going to look at circumference and area of circles. Alright, before we talk about circumference and area, we need to talk about the different parts of a circle. So we have a radius. A radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the outside edge of a circle. And we use a lowercase r for radius. Diameter goes from one side of the circle to the other side of the circle and goes through the center. And we use a D for diameter. If you notice, since the radius goes from the center to the outside, it's always going to be half the length of the diameter, or the diameter is always twice the length of the radius. Circumference, that's the distance all the way around the circle. So think of it as a perimeter. If you were looking for the perimeter of a square, a rectangle, something like that, when we're dealing with a circle, the distance around is called the circumference. And then the area would be all the space inside of the circle. Alright, circumference. We have two formulas. One formula is circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius. And then we also have circumference equals pi times diameter. So if we have the radius, then we're going to use this formula. If we have the diameter, we can use this formula. All right, now, I also have these two other terms over here, approximate and exact. When we're dealing with finding the approximate circumference of a circle, that means we're getting an answer that's close to it, approximately. So that means we must be rounding something. And what we're rounding is pi. So for approximate, we use 3.14 for pi. That's what most of you are used to. When we're getting the exact answer, that means we're getting exactly the right answer. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be rounded exactly. So for that, we're just going to use the pi symbol. We're going to leave it as is. All right, so let's say we have a circle with a radius of 3 meters. If I want to find the approximate circumference, since I'm given the radius, I'm going to use this first formula, C equals 2 pi r. I'm going to substitute in, well, 2 can stay the same. Pi, since it's approximate, is going to be 3.14, and then the radius was 3. And that's just a matter of multiplying 2 times 3.14 times 3, and I get 18.84. Don't forget the units of measure, though. So it's going to be 18.84 meters. Now, same exact problem, radius of 3. I have the radius. I'm going to use the same formula, circumference equals 2 pi r. But this time, my 2 stays, my pi symbol stays, and I'm going to put the radius in of 3. Right now, the pi symbol you can almost think of as a variable. I mean, it really is a symbol representing a number. So I'm going to take the 2 and multiply it by the 3, and I get 6. I'm going to leave the pi symbol as is, because this is how I would write if I had a number and a variable. I would write the number first, then the variable. And then that's it, just 6 pi. I'm going to remember to go back and make sure that my units of measure, meters, is in there. And the exact circumference is 6 pi meters. And I know that's going to seem weird to a lot of you because you want to do something with that pi symbol, but if I really want the exact answer, I have to leave the pi symbol as is. Alright, once again, we have our formulas. C equals 2 pi r, or C equals pi times diameter, depending on what we're given. We remember that we're using 3.14 for pi for the approximate, and we're just using the pi symbol for the exact. Alright, so this circle, let's give a diameter of 20 centimeters. So I want to find the circumference. So this time I'm going to use this formula, since it has the diameter in it. So circumference equals pi times the diameter. Okay, pi for approximate, we're using 3.14. The diameter is 20. I'm going to multiply 3.14 times 20. and I get 62.8. Don't forget my units of measure, 62.8 centimeters. Alright, over here for the exact, same formula, circumference equals pi times diameter. This time pi symbol stays the same. My diameter is 20. I'm not going to leave my answer like that though, because we want the number first, then the pi symbol, just like if it was a number and variable, like we said before. And then that's our answer, 20 pi centimeters. Distance around the circle. Approximate, exact. Alright, now we're going to look at area. Area, we only have one formula here. Area equals pi times the radius squared. But as before, approximate, pi is going to be 3.14, and the exact pi is just going to be the pi symbol. Alright, so let's do a radius of 3 inches. And so my formula, area equals pi times the radius squared. So this is my approximate side. I'll use 3.14 for my pi. My radius is 3, and I have to square that. My order of operations tell us that we do exponents before we multiply. So 3.14 will stay. 3 squared is 9. And then 3.14 times 9, I get 28.26. And I want to make sure I put my units of measure, 28.26 inches squared. Remember, area is always units squared. So that's the space inside that circle, the approximate area. Alright, exact, I'm still going to use area equals pi r squared. And this time, instead of substituting 3.14, I just leave the pi symbol as is. My radius is 3, I have to square it. So pi symbol stays, 3 squared is 9. I want to write my number, then the pi symbol. And then don't forget 9 pi, and it was inches squared. So I have my approximate area and my exact area. Alright, let's not forget area equals pi r squared. For my approximate, I'm using 3.14, and for my exact, I'm just using the pi symbol. Alright, this time let's do a diameter of 20 feet. Alright, so area equals pi r squared. Since this is approximate, I'm putting my 3.14 in for pi. Now, I don't have a separate formula this time for area with a diameter. I still have to use the radius. So if my diameter is 20 and we said that the radius is always half, then my radius must be 10 feet. So I'm just going to take half of the diameter to get my radius. So my radius is 10, and I have to square that. So exponents come first. 3.14 stays, 10 squared is 100. And then 3.14 times 100 is 314. And don't forget, 314 feet squared. Area is always units squared. Right over here, same formula. Area equals pi r squared. Pi we're going to leave as the pi symbol because we're doing exact. The radius we found out was 10, and we square that. 10 squared is 100. Number comes before the pi symbol. And then when we write our final answer, 100 pi feet squared. Always unit squared. So approximate, we use 3.14. Exact, we keep the pi symbol as is. All right, now we're going to kind of work backwards from what we just did. We were given a radius or a diameter, and we were finding a circumference or an area. Now we're going to find the radius when given a certain circumference. So we're going to find the radius of a circle if the circumference is, let's say, 31.4 meters. So I know that I'm looking for radius. I'm dealing with circumference, so I must be using c equals 2 pi r. And even if you're not sure exactly how to go about this problem, you can always plug in information that you know. So the circumference c is 31.4, so I'm going to put that right under c. 2, I can just keep 2. In my answer for the circumference, there's no pi symbol. It doesn't say 31.4 pi, so this must be approximate. So when I'm dealing with approximate, I know I'm using 3.14 for pi. And then r, that's what I'm looking for, so I don't even know my radius. Right. Now, how can I go about solving this? Well, I noticed that I could multiply these two together. So 2 times 3.14 is 6.28. And now it looks like a simple one-step equation. I want to divide each side by 6.28 because I want to isolate the variable, get r by itself. 6.28, oh, that's an 8. They cancel. And then 31.4 divided by 6.28 is 5. So my radius is 5. And don't forget, we were dealing in meters, so 5 meters is my answer. All right, let's try another one. I want to find the radius of a circle. Still doing radius. And we're still going to deal with circumference. This time, let's do the circumference is 30 pi centimeters. All right, so now I'm looking for radius and dealing with circumference, so let's stick with that c equals 2 pi r. Let's plug in information we know. Circumference is 30 pi, so right underneath c, I'm going to write 30 pi. 2 I can just write in. All right, now I noticed that I had a pi symbol, so that must mean this is an exact circumference. So let me leave the pi symbol in here, and then r I'm looking for. All right, now, there's really nothing to multiply on either side, so I noticed that I have a pi on both sides, so I could divide both sides by pi. Pi's cancel, pi's cancel. Let's come over here, and I get a 30 equals 2r. Right, now I want to solve for r, so I can divide both sides by 2. Simple inverse operations. And r equals 15. Don't forget, 15 centimeters. Right, so I'm kind of doing the opposite of what I was doing before. I'm working backwards. Right, now we want to find the radius of a circle if the area is a certain value. So let's say the area 113 and 4/100ths meters squared. All right, so I want to find the radius knowing that area. So let's put our formula down. Area equals pi r squared. Let's put information in that we know. The area is 113.04. There's no pi symbol in that area, so I know this must be approximate, so let me put 3.14 in for pi. And then I don't know the radius, so I'll put r squared in. Alright. Not 100% sure what to do at this point, but I do notice that I have this 3.14 multiplied by r squared. So since I know I eventually want to get r by itself, let me divide each side by 3.14. Going to cancel there. Let's come over here. I'll have r squared on the right side, and then 113.04 divided by 3.14 is 36. And now r squared equals 36. At this point, you might be able to just figure that out. What number squared is 36? Or you could say, let me take the square root of both sides, because the square root of r squared is r. Square root of 36 is 6. So my answer is 6 meters. Not meters squared. That was the area. I'm finding the radius. So 6 meters is my answer. All right, let's try another one. Find the radius circle if the area is, let's call it 225 pi feet squared. All right, so let's go back to our formula. Area equals pi r squared. substitute some information in. I know that my area is 225 pi, so I put that in right underneath A. There's a pi symbol, so I must be dealing with exact area, so I'm going to leave that pi symbol. And then r squared, that's what I don't know. I'm solving for r. All right, so now I'm looking and I see there's really nothing for me to multiply together, but I have a pi symbol on both sides. So why don't I divide both sides by that pi symbol? They cancel there, they cancel there. So on the left side, I'm just left with 225. On the right side, I'm left with r squared. And now once again, what number squared equals 225? Or take the square root of both sides. 15 equals r. So r is 15 feet. There you go. So we did a lot of work here with circumference, with area, some formulas that you need to know. Circumference has two formulas, one dealing with the radius, one dealing with the diameter. Area just has the one with radius. You do need to know how to find the area and circumference, whether you have a radius or a diameter. And then these last few problems where you're kind of working backwards, giving a circumference or area, and you have to go back and find the radius. All right, good luck, guys.